Hello everyone, my name is Jeff, and this is the Zombie Land Saga Episode 10 review. With me, as always, are Coby and Torie. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us. I say that like I'm a guest on the show, but we're just always here anyway, so it's a weird thing to say.
It's nice to be here, you know? Thanks for inviting us.
And I say welcome to the show as if you guys are guests as well, so.
So you've just assumed power in this, and we've just let it happen.
Yeah, are you saying you're the star of the show?
It's a power move. I'll admit it.
And it's worked. It's taken us 10 episodes to say anything.
10 episodes. It's been happening for longer than that, Coby.
Oh, no.
So yeah, shall we just jump right into this episode discussion?
Let's get into it. I'm sure people, if anyone's listening, they know what it is by now. So
yeah, and this is probably why they're listening to us, so we might as well jump into it.
All right, so the episode begins with Franchouchou. They're all grouped around, and Sakura remarks at how happy everyone is. You know, Ai and Junko have solved their hang-ups, and Lily and Saki are happier now that they have new fans, and these fans are people that have come from their past life when they were alive. And Sakura's all like, but I'm the only one that doesn't know her past still.
Besides
and just like that,
Tai Yamada.
And there's Tai
But that
Yamada.
doesn't matter.
And just like that, it is not a Yugiri episode.
Which is such a disappointment.
I
was so sad because out of all, even though Sakura was our entry point to the show, and she's like, I guess the main character, I think she's the least interesting out of all of them.
I completely agree.
Yeah, she doesn't seem like a good main character, really.
She's good in the sense of just like, it was a good way to bring everybody into it.
Yeah.
But then as the other characters became more interesting and Sakura just became kind of like a cheerleader side character, and had more interesting backstories. Like I care so much more about Saki's backstory as a biker, or Lily's, child star trans girl type, feelings and problems that she had to deal with than I care for Sakura's, memory loss. Like I don't care about her past.
Yeah, I mean, as a narrative device, she's good as sort of like a glue for the group, and kind of as a means for us, the viewer, to kind of jump between the different characters and interact with them. She's kind of like the point of view character. That's about it. But as a main character, with her own arc and developments, yeah, she's kind of weak.
Because it's only interesting if the mystery surrounding her past is like intriguing, but it's really not, because it seems like we called it at the beginning that she was an idol. She didn't die there. Well, you guys called it. I just nodded along, and I'm taking part of the credit for it as well. That she didn't die at the beginning, and she went on to become an idol after that, and that's what she's remembering, that she actually was once an idol. And knowing and like thinking that and believing that kind of takes a lot of the suspense out of all these memory flashes. Like, what am I remembering right now?
I mean, I don't think that's been totally proven, right?
I think it's still just a theory at this point.
Yeah.
Like the theory goes that when she got hit by the truck, that wasn't actually how she died, and yeah, she might have gone on to become an idol. But I don't think it's ever been explicitly shown yet that she was in fact an idol, or that was actually not her death scene. Yeah. So yeah, there's no real like effort on the show's part to sort of sprinkle along any hints or clues as to who she might have been or what her past might have been. I guess the only loose thread at this point right now, though, is the reporter that was recognizing the group before. Mm-hmm. That still hasn't been resolved yet, has it?
Yeah, no. He like disappeared from the story.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Maybe that person has ties to Sakura in some way. In fact, I think I'm growing more certain of that, actually, because I don't know who else that person could be connected to directly, unless maybe he is just a fan of idols from days past.
I have a different theory, but I'll wait till the end.
Okay. So yeah, this is a Sakura episode, not a Yugiri episode. A little disappointing for me.
Even though it's a good episode for Yugiri, still not a Yugiri episode.
Yeah, that's true.
So Sakura looks off in the distance wistfully and wonders what her past was like, and then Kotaru jumps in and says, "Hey guys, it's time for your actual real debut. You're going to be playing at the Arpino concert in a group of 500 people, and you're not like the headliners or anything like that. You're not going to be performing alongside anyone else. You're not going to be opening for anyone else." Wait, did I say you're not the headliners? The headliners are
the headliners are the people you want to go see.
Oh, they are the headliners, is what I meant to say. So yeah, and that's got the group all psyched up. and they check out the concert venue, and it's a nice concert venue. Kotaro says apparently it hasn't been used for musical performances recently, but Kotaro's aim is to change that perception. It's also relevant because it's where I and her group Iron Frill performed for the first time, and Sakura actually has some faint memories of watching her at this place, so it's special to her in that way. And
I know they say it's nice, but to me it just looks like a giant auditorium.
I thought it was like a gym, like a school gym or something.
Yeah, this is so nice. It's like one weird curtain that's in the middle of everything, and then blank everything else.
Yeah,
I think the concert hall that they used where Iron Phil premiered
the outdoor venue.
Yeah, the outdoor venue, that could have easily fit 500 people. They should just use that.
More than that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the one that Ai Junko said that she performed at was performed at. So I'm wondering, maybe Sakura only remembers it because it was the one that she was watching her performance before she got hit by the car the first time.
Yeah, I think that's
maybe it was that venue.
Yeah, maybe.
Although, yeah, so she either saw her in person or she saw her on TV. Because remember the first episode, she was watching Ai on the television on the I think that was actually the concert hall that she was talking about.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
okay.
think it's that one. Maybe that's what her memory is.
So yeah, Sakura begins to feel very anxious and kind of excited at the same time for their first big show, and for the fact that she has memories associated with it, and is, you know, kind of hoping that maybe she'll regain some of her memories if they do, I guess, a good enough job at this performance. So she's up in the middle of the night. She's off practicing on her own, thinking of new moves and stuff. And during one of their group practice sessions, she ends up rushing ahead of the dancers, and either Saki or I kind of stops the practice session and is like, "Hey, you're moving way too ahead of us right now." And Sakura's like, "Oh, sorry. Hey, you know, I was thinking like maybe we should add in a step during this one part of the dance." And Ai's like, "Well, don't you think we should practice what we have currently instead of adding more stuff?" And Sakura's like, "No,
bigger, better, faster. We got to do this. It's gonna be awesome."
Yeah. She's kind of hyping herself up a bit too much. And off in the shadows, you see Kotaro observing all this from a distance. And the next scene is them in the dungeon, which we haven't been starting in the dungeon lately.
We're evolving.
Yeah, they instead of the dungeon being at the beginning, they put it near the beginning, a few minutes after the beginning.
I thought they got promoted to like some more light, like a room with more lighting and
the practice room.
Yeah, but nope, they still go to
dungeon is the place where stuff happens.
Mm-hmm. And Kotaro his goof this episode is that he's impersonating a mountain man. You know,
a yodeler.
A yodeler, yeah, a yodeler type. A Ricola type, yes. And his plan is essentially to toss them all up into the mountains. Why? Because he says whenever something big happens, there's always a mountain montage, and that'll make you stronger.
I literally just watched Rocky IV like last week, and it has that mountain training montage, so I thought that was perfect.
So very, very appropriate indeed. So yeah, off they go into the mountains.
Jesus.
And, you know, because they're zombies, like, they'll survive it, but that doesn't mean that they're not uncomfortable about it. It's, like, cold and they're hungry. And, yeah, we haven't really discussed, like, so the zombies have to eat? I mean, I guess, well, zombies do eat people. So these zombies, yeah, they have to eat then.
I don't think they have to eat, but I think they can go a length amount of time without eating, or else
Like
they
a zombie?
start to rot or something like that. Yeah.
Same with sleeping, I would imagine. I don't think they have to, but they do.
Sometimes they do. Yeah.
To feel human, Jeff. They got to feel human.
Yeah, it's like a leftover habit.
Yeah.
And soon enough, everyone finds their role in the mountain wilderness. Yugiri is off gathering shrooms. Lily is making a fire. Ai is off hunting for baby boars. And Junko is off fishing. And then Taiyamada is just kind of chilling, I guess.
Doing her own thing.
What I am so sad about is all of these girls' individual activities I could have watched a whole episode about. Like, I could have watched Yugiri tripping on magic mushrooms that she finds in the forest.
Really?
I could have watched an episode about, which one was hunting? Ai Junko? No, the other one.
It was Ai.
Yeah, I was hunting. And watch her, like, hunt a boar with, like, really crappily. Like she just like shot that arrow just like
there was no force behind that arrow.
Yeah, there was no force. So I want to see her hunt boar. I could have watched Tai Yamada just struggle as a zombie and build complex, intricate snowmen. And I wanted to know about Lily's like survival role type experience. I mean, all of those I thought were really interesting, little just tiny little slices of life that I was like, okay, I can get behind this slice of life anime. I mean, I thought those little moments were all great.
What I think is funny is that Lily, her reasoning behind the fact that she's a professional at building a fire is that she was like a star of like this camping movie, essentially. And it's funny that she just gets relegated to just the fire when, supposedly, I would think she could probably do all these tasks. She could probably
Did you see
Ai
Junko's hunting skills? I mean, you can't contend with that.
Apparently not.
Arch bow.
But also, where did that bow come from?
Yeah, she pulled it out of nowhere.
Yeah, then no footage dedicated to that development at all. But whatever. And sorry,
I wasn't a fan of the slice of life.
You didn't like that stuff? I liked it.
I mean, I would, but I'm kind of, even though Sakura, the point of this is for Sakura to calm down and stuff, but I was totally like thinking of Sakura. I was like, what the heck, guys? Nobody's gonna say anything of why we're here, and I would think it'd be okay if they were there for only like a day, but they're literally there for like,
they're there for a week.
Yeah, for a week. It's like so much time wasted in this.
Well, you try choreographing a dance routine on a mountain. I'm sure Rocky couldn't even do that.
I would have questioned. I guess all of those things in life is me questioning Kotaro. Like, that's what I would do in real life. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why are we locked out here suddenly in survival mode? But
this one he had a good point, as we'll get to at the end. Like, this plan, he had an actual point to, and it seemed to be effective.
Yeah, I mean, the girls, they do basically blindly follow whatever Kotaro says, but for all his wackiness, there is a method to his madness, and in this case specifically, there was a point to the trip that there was a problem he was trying to solve by sending him to the mountains. And the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is everyone has their duties, their wilderness duties in this group, except for Sakura. Sakura is still anxious about the dance, and she's actually getting a little bit annoyed at everyone else. She thinks that no one else is focused on the dance, but she is, and so she's kind of practicing in secret and that kind of thing. There's a funny incident involving a boar. There's some zombie humor.
Oh, that was a good scene.
Yeah. Let's talk about how it totally ripped off Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like literally the exact same scene, unless, because like there's a baby boar that they're hunting. It comes back with its boar monstrous papa. It gets stuck in a hole, just like Sokka did in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Instead of Sokka getting his head chopped off and thrown around, which would have been an awful end to his character. We got
/ best end.
Yeah, I was thinking about during that. It's like, man, what if that's how Avatar: The Last Airbender killed Sokka? And I was imagining that.
It would have subverted our expectations, that's for sure.
Yeah. But it was pretty funny getting her head popped off, and then Tai Yamada coming around biting the boar's butt.
Yeah, she's more of a dog than the actual dog is.
Yeah.
She runs around on all fours.
Did the dog grow? Did the dog grow in between this episode?
I don't think so.
He has like zombie transformations every once in a while. Sometimes there'll be a cute little tiny like Pomeranian thing, and then he grows and gets bigger, and he's vicious little
big
zombie.
Trash street dog thing.
Yeah.
There is a moment in the anime when you see Junko fishing, and you see the dog is like really vicious and snarling and ugly and like aggressive and scary looking as he's going for the fish. And then the scene cuts away, and it cuts back to him with the fish in its mouth, but it's back to its cute cuddly ways. So essentially, its appearance changes based on what it's trying to do.
Okay. So it's still the same. I just thought it was like weird. It has like months passed or something. It's actually showing a growing dog. And then I realized that's too complex. But you know what's not too complex is how I overthought the line that they said about the boar when they're like, oh, it was weird that it was that big. So I was thinking, does Saga need to be saved by like radiation from an outside world that's mutating the everything around Saga?
The wildlife?
Yeah. And I thought maybe that's just a joke. But you don't know.
Well, we'll get into I think very much his when he says he wants to save Saga, I think his explicit reason and what that means what he means by that is stated later on in the episode. We'll talk about that.
Finally,
Okay.
Jesus.
So yeah, Sakura gets her head chopped off, and some antics ensue. Eventually, she gets her body back, but she's not too happy about it. Kotaro comes in and decides to grab them all from the mountains, and Sakura basically storms off and tells everyone that they're not taking this thing seriously, which makes everything a little bit awkward. Yeah, and then we cut back to the dance studio. And they do another little performance, or they try and practice a bit more. But Sakura is again still annoyed at them, and she kind of tells them off and storms out of the room, making things a little bit worse. And after that, we get a scene with Kotaro and Yugiri. And Kotaro looks like he's at some kind of restaurant, maybe a sushi restaurant, I'm not sure. But Yugiri comes in. And Kotaro's like, what are you doing here? And Yugiri's like, I'm here to dance. And then she just starts dancing.
She's awesome.
She does her geisha dance and like.
I was trained. I took some. I trained as a geisha too, lightly.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, and I find it odd that they didn't show the reactions of the other restaurant guests to this random geisha that just walked in and started doing a geisha performance. But I guess we didn't need to see that. But essentially, Yugiri is concerned with Kotaro. She's noticed that Kotaro has been a bit off lately, and she's also aware of what Kotaro's real intentions behind all this mountain business is. And both of them have seen that Sakura has been a bit anxious and on edge and amped up recently, and Kotaro knows that, and he says that, the best part about a group is that you each can make up for your individual weaknesses by complementing each other. But if one individual has their blinders on and can't even see the rest of the group, then there's no point in it. And he's referring to Sakura. So his whole plan with sending them to the mountains was that hopefully it would have cooled down Sakura a bit, and she would have, maybe been a bit more cohesive with the group and brought her back on board and online. But his plan failed. And then he gets into a little bit more conversation with Yugiri, and the meaning behind saving Saga, I think, is revealed. And maybe at this point, maybe we should have suspected that it was just this all along. I think it might just be a translation thing, or maybe like some kind of cultural thing. Like, essentially, the reason he's talking about is he wants to stop the depopulation of Saga, which I take to mean like there are basically no one's living in Saga. People are leaving at some crazy high rate, supposedly. And if you have a decreasing population, then of course your town's gonna die. Like, no one's coming in. There's no growth.
Is this the first like statement of it? Because it's been like implied throughout through all the things that he's mentioned. Like even last episode with the old people, how he was saying like old people make up like 95% of Saga. So I mean, like it's the implications are there. I'm just wondering if this is the first time he said everyone's leaving Saga. I want to revitalize it. I think he's mentioned it in one of his like crazy rants before, but this is like the first time he said it like in a really kind of serious, heartfelt way. It's just like I want to save Saga. Like I want to stop the depopulation of it.
Yeah, no, I think this is the official time he's ever stated the reasoning why. Before he just said I want to save Saga. We have to save Saga, but until then, it was like, why or how? How is that going to do anything?
And I mean, I think really it was supposed to be obvious from the start, because if it wasn't, then I think the girls or someone would have been like, save Saga from what? And then he would have said either one of two things.
Creature.
He would either say the actual threat, or he would say, oh, I'll tell you later. But because there was no question of that at all, I think the writers just assumed that we knew what that meant, and it wasn't supposed to even be like a mystery. It was just like, save Saga. Oh yeah, I get what he means. He just wants to, make sure his town doesn't die. Revitalize it.
Maybe Saga is like a real place in Japan.
I think it is.
Really
Isn't it?
small.
Yeah, we looked that up. It is.
Yeah. So, to a Japanese viewer watching this, they would listen to him saying, "I want to save Saga," and they'd be like, "Oh, I know what he means."
Well, what would be the equivalent to that in America?
Let's see, what's a dying town? I mean, Japan's a lot smaller, so I guess he'd probably... Well, Saga's like a prefecture, right?
That would be like us in Nevada. We'd be like, I want to save
Gold Town.
Gold Town.
One of those drive-through
Yeah.
towns, you know. Yeah.
But it was nice. It had some. It was nice to see Kotaro actually be a little human.
Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah,
True.
we've seen him be human several times before, but I think just this, we haven't seen him be like this serious for this long. Like the whole conversation, there was no joking around from him at all.
Yeah.
It was a very serious exchange between him and Yugiri. Anyways, the conversation ends when Kotaro, for a moment, says like, "I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to get out of this mountain on their own," and then Yugiri just slaps him, and they do a little slow motion, 3 times speed kind of thing with her slapping Kotaro. And he's like, "Never say that. Never doubt Sakura. She can do it." But then Kotaro's like, "But I just said it."
I just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because the statement just before he gets slapped, it says, "I think they can do it."
Yeah. The slap came a bit late,
Yeah.
is the joke, I guess. And then Yuri storms off.
And then she leaves, and then he's just like, "Didn't you guys hear me?"
Yeah. You guys saw that, right? You saw that? I said it. Yeah. And then it cuts to Sakura, who's kind of moping around, and she's a bit concerned of the situation and the fact that she made things awkward more than a few times on her own. So she decides to check in on the group and observe from the outside for once instead of jumping straight in. And she sees that Franchouchou is actually driving along just fine without her. You know, it was this whole time Sakura thought that the group was kind of falling apart and was dysfunctional, but the whole time, actually, it was just her. It was just her perception of it, and she was the one that was out of place, whereas everyone else was working in sync just fine. And so she comes in and she apologizes and yada, yada, yada. So the group and Sakura reconcile. And now there are only 7 days till the concert. And Sakura gets up early in the morning and she's like, "I'm going to go for a run." And she's already all made up, and she gets on her running shoes.
Looks oddly familiar.
Yeah, and then she runs out the gate, and bam, gets hit by a truck again.
Ow.
In a scene that is reminiscent of the first scene of the anime.
Was it actually the same type of truck too?
It looks like the same
It
truck.
looked like
wasn't
it. It surprised me just as much too.
You weren't expecting it at all.
I didn't
wasn't.
expect that. I wasn't. It didn't even enter my mind.
Oh wow. I liked how this time the driver actually seemed like he wanted to stop and check on her, but the dog stopped him from doing it. And he's like, "Oh no, screw that!" And he drove away.
I mean, for all we know, the driver probably got out in the first time she did it, but when she got hit, she was flying in slow-mo, and we were listening to rock music at the time. So
Yeah.
And we
So
were
we
like,
could
"What are
think
we
different.
watching?" We were
we
disoriented.
didn't know the aftermath of that particular scene. But yeah, the driver kind of just goes off, and I guess he gets some help instead of dealing with this rabid-looking dog, which I guess is fair. I don't know. I probably would have tried a little bit harder to,
Well,
see if
I
that
don't know.
girl
If you
was
see
okay.
a zombie dog, like that's pretty crazy.
That dog looked hella scary.
It was, you know what? Yeah, scary. I could see that being a deterrent.
Plus, it's like, a dog's basic instinct is to like protect the owner. He just ran over their owner. For all he knows, that dog's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sakura gets hit by a truck again, and suddenly it appears that her memories all start flooding back to her. But then she wakes up and she says, "Where am I?" So I take this to mean that her old memories came back to her, but the memories she made while she was a zombie left. So now she's like Sakura proper, like from the beginning, like at the beginning of the episode before she died, essentially.
Which means, I mean, I guess it's the good news and the bad news is the good news. It seems like we'll finally get an answer to like the mystery. Like if there really is a mystery, like what's always great with the show is that you're trying to play with how smart the writers are, because it seems like we're expecting a lot from the Sakura thing, but then you think like, oh, is it too obvious that she was an idol beforehand? Like, because they're making it seem like that's really the case, and you don't know if the show is like smart enough to divert those expectations and go in a completely opposite direction, or just go with it anyway because who cares. So it's like it's going to be exciting to see where they go with that. But on the bad news is it seems like next episode won't be a Yugiri episode.
Yeah, no more
to deal with this.
No more Yugiri episodes. I think the show is wrapping up. There's only 2 more episodes left, so it looks to me that the next episode is going to be the reveal of Sakura's past, And then the final episode is going to be that final concert with the 500 people and the resolution to that.
Which sucks. I mean, in terms of, I really wanted a Yugiri episode.
I told you, it was a second season thing that they could save for.
Yeah, Pop. Yeah. Very much so. So you think there will be a second season?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Coby?
I think there will be.
Yeah, it seems
I think the show's popular.
Yeah.
And I mean, if their goal is to save Saga, I don't think their goal will be accomplished by the end of this season.
Yeah. I mean, this is their first big concert. We need to see them go all the way, like get real big, actually save Saga.
You know what I think we also need? I think we need a Kataru backstory, because I just thought of this. You know, it would make sense. I'm making up my own backstory for Kataru. Is that he was part of a male idol group. Doesn't he seem like that persona that would be part of it? And then it failed. And he was trying to save Saga himself, and then he couldn't do it. So then he brings back the greatest idols then to do what he could not.
Well,
boom.
Well, no, let me I'm not gonna like poop all over your theory, but
she's gonna poop all over your theory.
I'm gonna poop all over your theory.
You can't just poop all over my theory by saying I'm not going to, but it still counts as pooping all over my theory.
You're right. I do apologize. Let me poop on your theory, because there is a very important, very minute but important thing that we forgot to discuss. Is that when Kotaro and Yugiri were talking, Yugiri went to Kotaro and said, you seem to have a very soft spot for Sakura. Sakura.
Yeah, okay.
So that implies that him and Sakura have some sort of connection.
That's true, huh?
So next episode will probably be a Sakura and Kataru backstory.
That's true.
Episode.
I mean, if you think about it, he does pick on her a lot, more than the other girls. So
that would make it more like it would be okay, because he always yells at her in some way, like her specifically. So it would make it actually a little better, and that would be a really smart way to tie that. That's a good point.
And I mean, that's kind of why I don't like this episode, because one, it seems like when everyone else has a problem, Sakura or somebody else can just talk them through it and explain it to them and get through the situation, whether they're scared of lightning or they're down with their old ways. Kotaro can have a moment. I know Kotaro usually wants everyone to solve their own problems, which is fair, I guess,
And I think he does a good job at that.
Yeah. But in this one, he did the complete opposite. Instead of having Sakura figure out her own problems, he threw them all in the wilderness. And everyone knew what Sakura was going through. Even Yugiri had the guts to talk to Kotaro about it, but nobody addressed the situation with her and said, hey, you need to, figure things out, chill out. You need to start, trusting in us as a group and not as an individual. And so they wasted like 10 days
letting that happen.
Yeah, in the wilderness and plus days while they were still practicing to have her deal with this. And I know that Kotaro's goal in the end was for her to figure it out. But one, the plan failed, so he wasted time in that. And two, it took her so long to figure it out for herself. If anyone would have just told her, like she was the one that would tell them about problems or work with their own problems, that it could have been resolved. And I know that this was a interesting episode, so I guess I can't hate on it too much, but that's just my issue.
That's a good point. That's a good logical point, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, what would have been better, I guess, like. Because yeah. I'm trying to think, if they don't go this route, then what would they have done? I guess it would have gone so I was like, hey,
I mean, like, they
you're
still could have
dancing
tried
a little too
talking
fast, and you should trust us. Well, here's the thing, though. Okay, like, I still agree with Kotaro's method, and I don't agree that I don't agree with the fact that he failed made it a bad thing to do. I think it was still a good thing to try, and people make mistakes. Kotaro's not perfect. He's a man of many plans, but not all of his plans pan out the way he wants them to, and I think that's perfectly reasonable. But I think in that kind of situation where you're kind of like, you're amped up, you're anxious, you think that everyone else is kind of dysfunctional and you're not the one that's dysfunctional. I think it is better that you come to that realization yourself, that actually the problem lies within yourself. Because I think if they talked to her about it and were like, hey, you need to chill, you need to trust us and all that stuff, you can't really talk her through that because she still has that perception in her head that it's everyone else's fault. If the people that you think are at fault are telling you that it's your fault, you're not going to believe them. So that conclusion really does have to come from herself. You know what I mean? This isn't the kind of situation where they could have talked to her about it because it would have backfired, essentially.
I mean, I guess so, but there have been plenty of other situations, like when was it Junko who didn't like being in the limelight and didn't want to be an idol because she didn't want to represent those different idol ways. And I know it didn't take her 7 days. Well, okay, it did take her a while to get over that perspective, but they didn't have to go throw her in the wilderness for her to figure it out and like get over with it. Kotaro had a talk with her and said, you know what? You know, if you don't want to be this way, because it literally took Kotaro talking to her for her to come to that realization. And I feel like it would have been a really sweet moment, I assume. I don't really know. Between Kotaro and Sakura to kind of deal with this.
Well, it looks like they're saving that for next episode.
Maybe.
Yeah. I could see that too. They were intervening before, but they didn't intervene this time. But I don't know. I think the situations are still different enough because in this one it was more about Sakura versus the group, and with Junko it was about Junko versus the present reality, like the way things are. Like it wasn't necessarily like an interpersonal thing. It was more like her contending with the fact that the life that she knew is no longer the life that she's living, and she had to come to terms with that. And I think intervening in that sense was appropriate, but not for this one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
I'm not going to say I agree with you. But.
Okay. That's fine. All right, Coby, you're the tiebreaker. Who do you agree with?
You know he's a Kotaro fan.
Yeah.
Kotaro all the way.
I will say this. One of our commenters said something interesting. Someone said that Kotaro was a sand golem. What do you guys think of that?
Totally. It totally makes perfect
golem.
sense. Tied everything together. It's
He always has his shades on. And he gets into these, he's able to morph his body into strange positions and like sizes. It might be comedic effects,
Maybe.
or he could actually be manipulating the matter inside his body to increase his size. And make
I'm
his face
all
contort in weird
all
ways.
for these crazy theories, so I'm all on board.
And if he takes off his sunglasses, what do you see? Probably nothing. No eyes at all.
Just sand.
Yeah.
Could be. That's why he always is screaming, because as a sand golem, you really don't really know like your own voice level and stuff.
Because that's a prime requirement for sand golem. You don't know your levels of your own voice.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the lore that's established.
So here is my theory. You could poop on it all you want, Coby, if you want.
Okay.
My theory is that Sakura, before she died, and we don't really know if that's when she died or not, when she got ran over, but regardless, what she was doing was mailing off some sort of application or some sort of like...
Yeah, I think it was for school.
Yeah, it was like a music school or something like that, to pursue her dream of being an idol. Whether she actually did that or not, I think Kotaro is connected in that way through that music agency or something like that.
Okay.
And maybe I'm going to assume Sakura didn't die when she got ran over. And Kotaro was there with Sakura when she died. And as she was developing the group. And maybe Sakura, maybe her final goal was to save Saga. Maybe she lived in Saga and that's what she wanted for her idol group, and then she died. So Kotaro's goal in life was to bring back Sakura and save Saga, and with that, he brought other idols along too.
I'm going to tweak your theory and say Kotaro is the one who killed her while she was on the way to try to save Saga, and the guilt over it made him vow to accomplish her dream of saving Saga.
I don't
know how the zombies fit in and the idols.
He killed her accidentally or deliberately?
Accidentally. And then that's why he's so crazy. Because the guilt
killed
of killing somebody who
it broke him.
He basically idolized, quote unquote, would make anybody crazy.
Boom, sticking with it. If you think about it too hard, there's a lot of holes, but we don't have to think about it too hard.
Yeah. She could definitely have been like his top student or something like that of this music academy. Anyways, yeah, this is running a bit long. I think we should end it.
Oh, yeah,
Cool.
that's true.
All right.
So,
And the good thing about these theories is that hopefully they'll be proven next episode.
yeah, they'll all be proven wrong.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, they will. We're completely off.
Yeah. All right, Coby, would you like to sign us off?
Sure, as always, because that is my role as you introduce us, and I'll sign us off because you guys don't want to do it.
That's true.
You've been listening to this on Nerd Blaze. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for your comments so far. They've all been great and interesting, and they let us know things like when our last episodes are cut off. So thank you for that. Again, subscribe, and we like talking to you guys. Thank you for everyone who's been... Oh, no, I've lost my train of thought. Anyways, thank you very much. This has been on Nerd Blaze.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.